Hello, this is Lee, back once again for another review. Well, I'm continuing my vlog series, if you will, on this amazing 10th anniversary Shimmer weekend. Just had to get a little bit of a beverage to refresh my parched throat. So much yelling and screaming and talking. I'm just going to refer to some of my notes here. We started off 78. Well, this is near the beginning, I should say. There were some video packages, as they call them. There was, of course, a screen, and these videos were playing. And I missed some of it, but the gist that I got was that this was probably filmed, or recorded rather, at the Motel 6 near Berwyn, where the wrestlers were all staying, and they told the fans, don't book your room there. They need to get their rest, and you'll have plenty of time to talk to them, later. But anyway, it looked like Portia Perez was, of course, they're talking about, spoilers, her retirement. But it shows her, I think she was, sleeping in a bed, and Allison Danger is kind of standing over her, kind of a creepy way, and, of course, usually it's Portia Perez messing with Allison Danger, but she was messing with her, whispering something, and I don't quite remember, but it was something about the retirement match, and so forth. But Portia was, then later there's another segment where it showed her and I think Nicole Matthews, and Portia Perez was on the telephone, calling up various people, trying to leave messages saying, "Oh, don't you remember me, Portia Perez? I want you on my team." And people hanging up on her, saying, "Who are you?" And just saying, "Oh, I thought I had more friends." So kind of just the sort of last minute, who's going to be on her team. There was another part, and this was filmed very much like a typical, just done to death WWE segment where it shows someone talking off camera. Here, I'll demonstrate if you're looking. So, what I want to tell you is, blah blah blah. Can you do that? And then the camera, they're talking. Will pan over to the person's face, and you see, just a person standing there that you didn't expect. But anyway, at least they didn't do the thing where it pans over and they act surprised, just because the camera didn't show them that person couldn't be seen. But anyway, you see it's Eddie Kingston. I believe he's this Ring of Honor wrestler who I believe is the boyfriend or fiancé of Mia Yim. At least that's what I've been told. So anyway, he was standing there, and Portia Perez was kind of like, "Well, you're going to help me out, right?" And he's just kind of like, no way kind of thing. But it was just funny because, this large male wrestler is going to help out little Portia Perez to beat up her opponents. So just a little cameo for fun there. And this man was at the Q&A in the background, and he yelled a couple funny things during the segment. I don't know if any of that will be recorded or if it's just kind of a bonus treat for the live fans. Anyway, there was some of these video things. Then there was a Sparkle match. This had not happened on Saturday, and some people had said, well, Sparkle, they don't do that anymore. Now there were no dark matches with the male wrestlers as before, but there were two wrestlers, and it was funny because one of them wore a sparkly headband and the other wore a sparkly belt. And let's see, it was Mary Elizabeth Monroe, and she defeated Paloma. Now Paloma was this bulky, larger woman wearing black. So needless to say, I'm sure she was meant to be the person we would boo. The kind of jumpy, spunky, kind of scantily clad Mary Elizabeth Monroe. She had this, kind of rainbow-colored, outfit, very tight-fitting, athletic build woman. A very short match, and as Sparkle tends to be, because it's kind of like they just have a quick match. Let's get things started. So it transitioned in. One thing I wanted to say, and I didn't say this previously, except I think in the hotel video, about the ring. The ring itself of this Shimmer weekend, it was terrible. The ring, a gray apron, or I'm sorry, gray mat. I made the same mistake before. Gray mat, black apron, black ring posts, reddish ring ropes. Of course, they're actually steel cables covered in rubberish material. But anyway, this it had this logo, AAW Wrestling, or AAWrestling.com, I suppose, on the side. And I thought, what an embarrassment! What an embarrassment! The turnbuckle covers would kind of flop down and hang really loosely, like they weren't put together right. I thought, something's going to fall off of these things when they try to jump off. The ring itself was filthy. You could see it was dirty, stains. There was like little holes torn in it. You could see pieces of like dirt or costumes. I couldn't tell. People tracked in things, and there was no effort at intermission. Even the next day, nobody like took a broom and swept it off. Vacuum it. It was horrible. And I was talking to some fans on Sunday, and of course, who knows, if they know anything necessarily, or just speculating, but there was this thought that, well, that's AAW. This is this promotion that often has matches, right before Shimmer, or the day before Shimmer, at the Berwyn Eagles Club, and that there was some kind of rule that you have to use this ring. You can't bring in your own ring to use, as they've done in the past. So normally they have the all-black ring, which you can tell it's low budget. It's not a, high-quality WWE ring. It's not a special, gimmicky ring like TNA, but at least it holds together. It doesn't look, so filthy. The thing looked like it hadn't been cleaned. It was just embarrassing. And the wrestlers, some of the wrestlers, it looked like they had bruises on their legs, but I thought, well, maybe it's just the mixture of the sweat with the dust. You could see when the referee was slapping the mat, there was big clouds of dust being kicked up, and I thought, gee, someone's going to get sick from this, an infection, or... First I thought, well, maybe they put talcum powder. Why would they put talcum powder on the ring? And so it's kind of gross. So I feel sorry for the wrestlers. They deserve better than this. So I'm not sure why they were forced to use this ring, but it's a bad idea. They should clean that thing. But I will fault Shimmer themselves for not just at least sweep off the ring. Just these unsightly like little clods of dirt or pieces of people's costumes and hairs. Very strange. I'm sure it won't show up on video, because unless you're zoomed in, you probably won't notice it, but it just looked very dirty, very unprofessional. And this is professional wrestling. Gosh darn it. Be professional. Even if you're an independent promotion. At least it wasn't held together with duct tape. But anyway, sorry about that. So moving forward, our first match, a solo darling, and she is kind of this curvaceous, buxom woman. She dresses with little cat ears and little foxtail, and her gimmick is that she, has a beverage. Of course, she didn't have Daphne at ringside to give it to her, but, sugary-looking beverage. She slurped it up and just kind of, started kind of like howling and running around, sort of similar to the Roo-roids that Kelly Skater used to drink and go crazy. But Solo Darling, I guess she was some kind of dancer before she got into wrestling. Very new, but a surprise, spoilers, surprise victory over her opponent. Her opponent was Amanda Rodriguez, and unfortunately, Amanda Rodriguez, not very distinctive character. I guess her gimmick was that she speaks Spanish. Really, she just sort of kind of just said some Spanish phrases, and then Solo Darling said, What are you saying? And then Amanda Rodriguez said something like, Spanish? Like you learned it in grade school? And she kind of was like, huh? And that was really it. And so, but Amanda Rodriguez, I assume she's also new. But Solo Darling got her first victory, and she was just so surprised. Not a huge fan of either woman yet, but we'll see where they go in the future. Certainly Solo Darling has a unique look. Amanda Rodriguez, a very nondescript kind of thing. Smaller wrestler. But anyway, kind of a rough beginning to 77. I should say before that match, there was actually, between Sparkle and the official beginning, there was a match between Hiroyo Matsumoto and Thunder Kitty. And they actually announced beforehand, this is for volume 77. So it's going to be like from the previous no, wait a second. Yes. Yes. Because we're in 78, but this is from 77. So this will be out of order. I'm not sure where they're going to place it. This is going to be the first match of 77 or one of the middle matches. But they dimmed the lights for some reason. And I think by this time the sound issues from the previous day were fixed. Sometimes when they play the entrance music, it seemed just a little bit too loud, a little bit too raspy. But anyway, much better than before. But they dimmed the lights. I think maybe this was just for Thunder Kitty's entrance, because she has this kind of like a retro, she's like a southern girl, but she sort of has this Hawaiian kind of music, and she comes out with this leopard robe and a flower in her hair, and she's very much like, I'm this, kind of rough and tumble, Rosie the Riveter, almost like post-World War II. But of course you think about, women's wrestling in the 1950s and 60s, before, when Fabulous Moolah and stuff, she was a young woman, and Mildred Burke and Renee Young, these early women's stars. And of course this was back when, most people knew wrestling was fake even back then, but there was still sort of a sense, I guess, that it wasn't as mainstream and popular, but people sort of, there was like, well, there's boxing and there's wrestling. But people knew it was theatrical. But anyway, Thunder Kitty is kind of this, she tries to emulate this. And her moveset is much more limited as a result. Some have criticized her for being, very, green, as they say, and she is. But I think she throws some comedy into her matches. So she's trying, certainly. And Hiroyo Matsumoto is such an over-the-top, talent. Of course, it was a foregone conclusion that she would beat Thunder Kitty. So there you go. Now going back into volume 78, but of course, just remembering this is all the Sunday show with the... and we did get an intermission, so there was more time to spend your money, meet the wrestlers, except for Portia Perez, who managed to avoid everyone. The next match... after Solo Darling and Amanda Rodriguez, was Lufisto against Veda Scott, and I think this was, the bad Veda Scott getting beat up by the beloved Lufisto, and a great match. I think Veda Scott has improved significantly, much more of a threat, but Lufisto really coming into her own with her new character. No longer apparently the super hardcore anime, but just very skilled. Reminiscent of her battles, with Kana, the serious Lufisto, but still the beloved Lufisto. And occasionally a little bit of a joke here and there. I think she, had her opponent in the ropes, and the referee, was counting and telling her to release, and she said, "Yes, sir," and kind of nodded her head. So it's just, she got a little bit of a laugh there. So still, very good and very gracious wrestler to the fans and so forth. Next, Allison Kay against Shaza McKenzie. Now, Allison Kay, of course, the other trashy wrestler, coming off very badly with the fans, against Shaza. And, of course, the bully won. Sorry, Shaza. So, it's what you'd expect, even though Allison Kay is not, that much bigger than Shaza McKenzie, but nevertheless, you sort of see it as the schoolyard bully against the slightly smaller child is going to win most of the time. Because she actually does have some skills. She's not just all talk, as they say. And as the sun goes down, Rhea O'Reilly against Leva Bates. And Leva Bates always doing her, different gimmicky characters. I'm trying to recall the exact costume. It's funny because I remember the costume she did, but I just don't remember specifically for this match without consulting the photos I took. But Leva Bates, just no match for Rhea O'Reilly. But nevertheless, both of them have improved significantly, and so matches are very watchable, as they say. Moving on, and I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker. We have the #1 contenders tag team tournament finals. Evie and Heidi Lovelace, of course, Team Slap Happy, against Tessa Blanchard and Vanessa Craven, and of course more of the antics of not wanting to wrestle but wanting to take all the glory for herself. Tessa with becoming more and more impatient lackey and dirty work person. Vanessa Craven, the giant character, and I think she looked like a bit like the Highlander villain, the Kurgan, with the black kind of skeletal outfit and the devil horns. But anyway, imposing, but more humanized, not completely expressionless and emotionless. Of course, the lovable characters actually won. I think this was a good match. They did a great job. I just didn't feel like Tessa Blanchard was that much of a threat. But she did get some good moves in, so she wasn't totally useless. But she is the weak link on that team. And you could see why, someone so skilled as Evie and some rising up as Heidi could continue on. Next we have Jessica Havoc, the beloved, return against Kimberly, who is now solidly hated, just destroying Kimberly. I was thinking to myself, well, Kimberly shouldn't have lost that weight. It might have helped her here. Little joke. Courtney Rush in the next match against Liberty. Liberty, of course, very powerful fighter, so it was much more of an even match than maybe some previous matches, but Courtney Rush with her just scariness generally. And I think she won, at least according to a fan that wrote it down, an F5, this move. And it's funny how so many of these moves, there's almost always, in recent volumes of Shimmer, there's been some reference to something in the WWE, whether it's a chant or a song or a gimmick, or someone will see a move and go, oh, that's the move that, name of WWE wrestler does. Even though many of these moves have been used by many wrestlers over time, even though often Shimmer does it first. I think, I'm trying to think, is it Seth Rollins who does the curb stomp move, which Cheerleader Melissa has been doing for years, but when people see it, they go, oh, it's Seth Rollins. Okay, so F5, associated with Brock Lesnar. But anyway, I suppose it's natural, because if you're not a long-time follower of Shimmer or women's wrestling in general, and all you see is what's on TV, you're going to go, oh, that's that. That's not the Kudo Driver, it's the Kryptonite Crusher, or the whatever. But anyway, most of wrestling is derivative from something else. Even the most original gimmicks, think of Sting, his name is from a rock star, his gimmick is from a movie, so there you go. But anyway, moving on, that's wrestling for you. Nicole Matthews against Mia Yim, and Mia Yim, as much as she's improved, Nicole Matthews has also improved, and Nicole Matthews, given a lot of trash talk from the crowd, chanting, a former champion, where's your title, just really laying into her, and she's getting very angry and making lots of silly faces. So I think this was great. I think the fans were finally waking up. Well, where were these fans all weekend? They were just really going crazy. So I'm not sure if they cut off the beer and switched to coffee, or what happened. But anyway, good to see that. Mia Yim, great wrestler, but Nicole Matthews just getting the upper hand, and I think this time she didn't actually cheat, at least outright, so good for her. But of course, now that the pressure's off, she doesn't have to, I guess. Next, Kaylee Ray against Kelly Ann English again. And I think this time Kelly Ann may have done some middle fingers at the crowd. So really breaking the PG, family-friendly. I guess there were a few little girls in the audience, but you couldn't really see them most of the time. They did announce that. They said, well, hey, there's some homegirls out there, so keep it clean. But of course, apparently some of the wrestlers just don't even care. I don't know if they'll edit that out or if it'll just be in the show still. There you go. PG. Maybe it's PG-13. Anyway, so Kelly Ann English, credible threat. Kaylee Ray, credible threat. And the good person won. Kelly Ann was defeated. And the fans, I think, appreciated her. They, did tell her to come back. Next, Cheerleader Melissa and Yumi Oka against Makoto and Hiroyo Matsumoto. Now, this was ridiculous because, of course, if you didn't hate Yumi Oka already, I mean, she takes a little too long in the corner, a few cheap shots. Okay, she interferes in a match. Now she brought a whip. Not a full, like, Indiana Jones whip, but like a, I don't know if you call it not a riding crop. I'm not sure what it is, but it has a handle and like these, like, tassels. And of course, I'm sure it's not a real, thing that would hurt, but, it sounds like, a slap. Ow! Even if it was made of plastic, it would still hurt, especially if it was sweaty. But anyway, she had that at ringside, and this, I believe, was where the referee really, if I remember correctly, it was Andy Long, and she really was given a lot of heat, maybe more so than the villains. The fans who just hated him because he wasn't doing the thing about this obvious weapon, and Yumi Oka was just slap people in the face with it, just any chance she could get. I think Melissa took it one time and slapped somebody, and it was just ridiculous. And I believe Yumi Oka even broke up a pin by, stomping on the on the referee himself. So it's just ridiculous, over the top. And so this really earned the hatred of the fans against Andy Long and against Yumi Oka. And cheerleader Melissa, of course, had been going kind of this, she was good, she's bad, she's good again, yeah, she's kind of in between, now she's bad again. That's okay. She does what she wants. So I think it was an effective match. Makoto, of course, the kind of happy-go-lucky schoolgirl, and Hiroyo Matsumoto, the kind of a cartoonish, power wrestler with her, Godzilla mask and her silliness. And her match with Thunder Kitty was much more comedic. This was much more serious. But yeah, just the over-the-top Yumi Oka just not caring. Much more like an old school Mayumi Ozaki, with the hitting people with a chain, that sort of thing. Okay, moving forward, almost done with this one. Kelly Skater against Sonoko Kato. Now, Sonoko, of course, fans very much on her side, very powerful wrestler. But Kelly Skater, of course, still riding that wave of enthusiasm, that she'd had before. Let me turn on the light here. Much better. Anyway, great match between the two of them. Of course, Kelly Skater's gone to Japan. She's wrestled with many of these Joshi before, and really rounded out her repertoire of moves. And she even occasionally say a little Japanese phrase while she's fighting, just maybe out of habit, or maybe just to pay tribute to those who have helped her improve. So good match. The ending, though, it was one of those things where Sonoko Kato was very upset because she got rolled up. It's one of those surprise moves where you're fighting, it's going, trying to pin, and suddenly it's like, whoops, just kidding, just gotcha. And Kelly Skater was like, well, I took the win, but Sonoko was just angry. She didn't want to shake her hand. She was just so frustrated. But it didn't come across as like now she's a bad person. It was just, she's just a proud athlete. And Kelly Skater got a cheap win. She didn't cheat, but it was a cheap win. It was a trick. It was a quick, luck move. And she was just angry. So, nevertheless, it was a good move. It was a good move, but it was a good match. And then finally, Madison Eagles against Nicole Savoy. Now, Nicole Savoy been so arrogant, but able to back it up. And, of course, the two of them going toe-to-toe, but Madison Eagles just too powerful. This match was very excellent, and I think some of the fans were just kind of acting bored. Some of these snarky fans I was sitting next to, sorry to keep ripping on them like this, but they just annoyed me at times. They're welcome to their opinions, but seriously, this was a good match. Seriously, that's Madison Eagles' catchphrase. But the two of them did very well. Nicole Savoy, very good, but Madison Eagles, that much better. So she's already getting into that mode of the champion, of the really great wrestler. So it's funny when she was stabbing people with forks and acted goofy and making coffee jokes, but now she can really show her quality again. So I very much enjoyed this. It was a long match, well worth watching. I think that made it for the night. And finally, I want to talk about volume 79. I'm going to kind of wrap this up because I need to do some other things, but I appreciate you listening. So start that in a